Another major protest taking place in Paris Saturday, but also across Europe, in Geneva, Rome, and Athens. This against sexist violence. Thousands turning out in the French capital, many wearing purple and chanting that they want to end impunity for aggressors, calling on the government to take more steps to tackle abuse. Rallies like this held elsewhere in France, where 1 in 12 women say they have been raped. Well, let's cross now to Stockholm and speak to Asa Regner, the Deputy Executive Director of the UN Women's Intergovernmental Support and Strategic Partnership. Thank you for speaking to France 24 today. I'd like to begin by asking you, what steps can governments do to stop this abuse?
Good morning. I think that there is a lot that governments can do actually around this issue. First of all, I want to thank you for raising it, and I think that it's very important, very important to raise awareness in general. And I can see that today and in the world, this has turned from a private issue into a political and societal issue, and that is very important in itself. But also that states and governments actually provide funding, legislation, support for those who are victims or survivors of the violence, but also measures to prevent it. Behavior change in relation to some men, because it is actually men who are violent against women and not the other way around in 98% of the cases.
It's men who are often violent against women. It's also men who are still in power in many parts of this world. Do you think there's political will to see quick change in this front?
You're absolutely right in maybe suggesting that more women in politics and in decision-making actually also changes prioritization. So that's why it's also important for the UN to work for women's engagement in politics and their place on lists to be elected and so on. We know for a fact that when women are in politics, they prioritize measures which are good for gender equality, for children's rights and social policies, although obviously both men and women are responsible. But we do see that there are more and more legislation put in place. And we do see that healthcare systems, police in many countries are more and more aware about what to ask about in a respectful way, how to treat victims of violence, and how to also not put women back into dangerous situations with their spouse or boyfriend or whatever, and to actually also deal with the person who is violent. But there is still a lot to do. Impunity is a big issue, as you pointed out.
Asa Regner, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate you speaking to France 24. We'll be following this protest Saturday, this on the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. That's it for now from the newsroom. Please stay tuned to France 24.